Good morning,
It's
everyone. Welcome to this particular session, and we are going to enjoy this dynamical space-time lecture. We're pretty happy to have this Professor Zeng from this Chinese Academy of Science, Institute of Automation. He's going to tell us the science of artificial intelligence. So let's give him a warm welcome. He's traveling on the road, so which means his speaking is changing dynamically along the space-time changing. Even though we are here, but he's dynamic moving. So let's welcome to give us a talk.
Thank you. I hope everyone could see my slide. So I'm going to the presentation mode. Yeah, I think it was very interesting to speak to you on taxi while I'm approaching to the venue due to the complexity of these 2 days. Well, the topic for today from me is the science of artificial intelligence. So maybe you feel this is a little bit weird because maybe some of you will feel, okay, artificial intelligence might be, a technology, engineering, but how come it's a science? But I think this is really important to, talk about the scientific part of artificial intelligence, especially on this conference, I would say. I'm from Chinese Academy of Sciences. I'm an AI professor. But I have to question all the advances, so-called recent advances, I would say, recently, and from a more scientific point of view. So I hope you could see my next slide. Yeah, I think you could. So I wanted to give you a reflection of what you think about AI in the first place. So when Alan Turing said that if a machine behaves as intelligent as a human being, then it's as intelligent as a human being. So, and then people do not really have questions for that for decades, but I do. So as you can see on the screen, that there are several shallows of the hand, probably. And then from the behavior level that you thought this is a human hand. So when it's approaching to you, and then when it wanted to shake hands with you, maybe you will shake hands with him or her. But the problem is that when you see, at the back, it's not really a human hand. It's actually a rabbit. Several rabbits behaving like a human hand. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That is, you're not from the behavior level point of view. Actually, you wanted to say you're interacting with a human hand, but from the mechanisms point of view, it's not a human hand. It's an animal, and when you wanted to shake hands with this shallow, it might bite you. What I wanted to say here is that for artificial intelligence, if it's built, from the behavior point of view, only behavior point of view, in which way it will make mistakes, you will never know. And when you're interacting with artificial intelligence from the behavior point of view, you don't know the mechanisms and in which way it will make, you will never know how, from the mechanism point of view, are you interacting with an intelligent agent that is pretty much similar to you, so that a friendly handshaking from you, from the agent, would also be welcomed if you are shaking hands with it. So this is basic observation that AI cannot stay as behavior level simulation. It cannot be a engineering only efforts. It has to move from behavior to mechanism, from engineering to science. I'm going to give you some of the examples that is quite related to the recent advancement. And so this is generated by, the generative AI that everybody is familiar with for now. And then, as you can see, what I said is generating a forehand, boy, and then what it generates is definitely not forehand, right? So, and then maybe you will never understand why this so-called generative AI makes such a silly effort, because counting is not really, should not be a problem for the current AI, because as you thought that as most people thought that the current AI should be much more advanced compared to what has been shown here. You can try on ChatGPT yourself, but it still make similar mistakes. My second example is something like this. So here is some Chinese character. So basically, for those who cannot read Chinese, it's 8 Chinese characters said brain cognition and brain-inspired AI. So, and then ChatGPT says that, okay, this is 10 Chinese character, but actually it's 8, it's not 10. And then you said, no, you're not make it right. And then it says, I'm sorry, it's 12, not 10. And then I said, wrong again. So as you can see, so you even can try, smaller number of characters, Chinese characters. It cannot really count how many Chinese characters are there. You will be surprised, because when you chat with ChatGPT or other generative AIs, they don't have problems interacting with you in most cases. But the truth is that they even cannot count. And then on the right side, I said that, can you write, a Chinese character, said brain cognition and brain-inspired AI. So this is the generation by using Chinese ink. But none of the Chinese characters are actually talking about brain-inspired AI and brain cognition. As I said, they're not Chinese, they're not Japanese. I don't know what language it is, but basically it's not. So for these 3 examples that I showed is, the mistakes that AI make in a very unexpected way that you will never consider that AI will make this kind of mistakes. Simply because in most cases it's fine. But actually not. It's not fine. And also it makes many mistakes that human will never make. So what is the problem for that? What I wanted to say here is that probably we're having a way towards artificial general intelligence. Maybe we think that we're quite moving forward to that in a very quick way. So people like Sam Altman and many other AI tech companies, they will say, oh, AGI will have it in 2 to 5 years. So they thought that the current AI is moving very fast. But what they've been talking about is AI as a tool, as an information processing tool that seems to be intelligent, but actually not. As I said, as I have demonstrated, it's not intelligent. It makes many mistakes that human will never make. Maybe you feel this is moving fast and it will approach AGI, as they say, within 5 years. But I would say never. But by extending what the AI have from the behavior level point of view, for now, I don't think that we're going to AGI. The ideal way, of course, is going very straightforward. But what I wanted to say here is maybe we need to seek for probably the best way that might move very slowly now. That is the mechanism-driven AI. We need to move from data-centric AI to mechanism-driven AI, to the scientific part of AI. There are many problems for data-centric AI. As you can see here, what I call the current AI is data-driven AI. So basically it works like this. You have larger scale data, you have the expected output. And what you are doing is to is to use a mathematical optimizer to do the learning from data to the output. You're doing encoding and decoding. Of course, you're doing prediction, and there are feedbacks to the mathematical optimizer. But basically, the optimizer may have nothing to do with human intelligence, may have nothing to do with the mechanisms of human intelligence. So this is the problem that I'm talking about. And many people were confused about, the differences between machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I think this also shows that you can say building a mathematical optimizer that can do learning is machine learning. But you cannot say that finding a mapping from data to the output by a mathematical optimizer is artificial intelligence, simply because intelligence itself is not only about learning, it's also about development, and it's also about evolution. By learning, it happens in milliseconds, in hours, in years, but for development, it happens within, let's say, 10 years or even decades for some of the animals. And for evolutions, billions of years of evolution. And it's a very interactive environment, shaping, the models of AI and the models of natural intelligence. And within the environment, there are human, other agents, other animals, maybe other AIs, and also some of the non-living things. But I think that AI has to be trained, has to be shaped by using this context to the goal of mechanisms-driven AI, instead of behavior level, only by using data for the training, judging from the behavior level. So this is why I'm calling for the science of artificial intelligence, simply because I think at the starting point of AI, especially when AI has been divided into different, subdomains, let's say natural language processing, computer vision, data mining, and many more, that people wanted to argue, behavior level simulation is good enough. And I think I have showed you that behavior level simulation is not good enough by using the rapid examples. And if we wanted to move to a scientific AI, we need to build the mechanisms for AI. And this can trace back actually to the Dartmouth College meeting, which talks about the nature of AI. That is, learning or any aspect of human intelligence can be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. So it says learning or every aspect of human intelligence. And it also has to say can be so precisely described at all levels. That means mechanisms also counts. So I wanted to say here, for scientific AI, mathematics is not enough, of course. Let's say for this morning, when we are actually, surfing on the web to try to continue this meeting, and then we've been told that we need to go to the meeting, and now I'm being on the way of the meeting. You see the dynamics and the complexity of human intelligence. So what I wanted to say is, of course, mathematics is the foundation, but definitely not enough, especially for artificial and human intelligence. So now I wanted to give a very, broad connector of the science of AI. So what kind of, science that we need to use to support developing the science of AI? Mathematics and computational science is not surprising, of course, because it is all along the way for artificial intelligence from the behavior level point of view. But now I think we need to move the effort of mathematical science and computational science to build the mechanisms of natural and artificial intelligence. And by that, you need to use cognitive and neuroscience as a basis, of course. Physics counts. I'm going to give you some of the examples by using physics and how this is related to mechanisms of AI. And also psychology, of course. I think this is the core. But talking about, AI as an enabling technology, science and technology that serve for the good of humanity. So it is, of course, also related to sociology, ethics, and in most cases also to anthropology for the future of artificial intelligence and its role in the human AI symbiotic society. I'm gonna give you more explanations later. So in the interest of time, I think I'll cover brain and mind inspired AI from cognitive and neuroscience inspirations. I'm also going to cover a little bit on the foundations of physics and how it's contributing to brain and mind inspired AI. And maybe that's it, simply because, I'm also going to talk about ethics. What kind of ethic do we need to build the science of AI? Right. I'm going to start by talking about brain and mind inspired AI. As I have argued, that let's say for backpropagation, which has been widely used in artificial intelligence, it's not biologically plausible. We need to build, from the mechanism point of view, a biologically realistic artificial intelligence models, so that when humans are interacting with this kind of AI, human will feel safe, simply because it's an extension of natural evolution. It's not only a mathematical optimizer that has nothing to do with the mechanisms of human intelligence. So to start with basic building blocks, like different types of neuron, different connectors of brain areas, and how these different brain areas give rise to different type of cognition, like perception learning, memory, reasoning, planning, decision-making, and many more. But underlying that, the model is driven by plasticity. By plasticity, you can, I would say, you can say plasticity is adaptation. It's the mechanisms for adaptation. And the theory of plasticity is shaped by what I have said about learning, development, and evolution. The plasticity is, I would say, is the theoretical and core foundation for the science of AI. What we want now is that from the mechanism point of view, it is inspired by the brain and mind at different levels of details, from the micro level to the macro level. The micro level is talking about, the mathematical foundations of ion channels within the neurons. They're talking about plasticity principles between two neurons and a group of and a collection of smaller number of neurons, all the way down to the interactions to the brain areas and the interactions among different cognitive functions. So this is the, and all the way down to behavior level. This is from the micro to the macro level models that we need to build. And from the behavior level, of course, it need to be similar to human beings. It can be better than human beings, but in the first place, it has to be similar to human beings, so that human will feel safe and comfortable convenient to interact with this kind of AI. I'm going to skip some of the slides. So this is the the plasticity I'm talking about. I have already talked about micro to macro plasticity. Starting from, like I said, ion channel interactions, from multi-compartment neurons, the single neuron model, all the way down to cognition. And also from the temporal, this is about spatial plasticity, but from the temporal plasticity, it's about the different time scales of learning, development, and evolution. So we will never expect, just finding a equation that can develop AI. No, it will never happen. Simply because through billions of years of evolution, there are a group and a bunch of theories that has to be incorporated together in such a nice way so that it can be used to develop the theory of AI. So this is the theory that we have been used in some of our previous work. And to name a few, I'm going to talk about some of the details. So I think I started by by talking about the cognitive and neuroscience foundation to inspire AI, and now I'm combining them together with some of the ideas from physics. As I said, physics is also a foundation for building the science of AI. So I think some of you may be familiar with self-organized criticality from physics, mainly. And maybe you've been familiar with the sand model for the sand pile model for self-organized criticality. And this is all happening in the brain, actually. So basically, the research in neuroscience shows that when the brain, the neuron activities, the neuron dynamics, when they are in the place of self-organized criticality, and then the information transmission efficiency is in a maximum stage. And also, in this stage, the learning will be most effective. But will this true for artificial intelligence? You have to do it on your own. So we did it. So we built a brain-inspired spiking neural network that is more relevant to the biological neural network, and it's more energy efficient. Will be simply because it encodes information by using spike sequence. And then we found when we are challenging, the model by using AI tasks like recognition, like recognizing the digits, as you could see, we're using the MNIST and FMNIST, which is very traditional, recognition task here. It's simple, but it shows the idea that when this, spiking neural network is in a state of self-organized critically, in a critical state, and then the recognition accuracy is the highest. So in traditional research of artificial neural network and also spiking neural network, people will never consider about this self-organized criticality. So it will reach a level of accuracy, but they never know how to fine-tune the accuracy as a step forward by inspirations from physics. So this is what I'm talking about. That when you are incorporating self-organized criticality into both the artificial neural network and the spiking neural network, it all counts. So physics helps here. And here that I showed, we combine the inspirations from neuroscience, from physics into a comprehensive model. A second example, which is also inspired by physics. So in neuroscience and also cognitive science, many people were talking about the quantum brain, whether the human brain is a quantum processor. And the scientific conclusion now is not that solid, I would say, because the human brain, the environment of these neural nets in the biological brain does not really meet, the requirement of quantum information processing and quantum physics in general. But there are still many hypotheses going on talking about, the aspects of quantum physics of the human brain, of the biological brain in general. And to artificial intelligence, to me, I think even, or maybe the human brain is not really a quantum processor, but how can we learn from quantum physics in a more general way? Does it bring insights to AI? Besides that, a quantum computer can speed up AI computation. Speeding up computation is not my interest. So I wanted to find some new insights from, quantum information processing. So this is, and then an interesting example that we bring here is that as you can see from the left top, there are three image. One on the left side is with a background of black. The other is with a background of white. So in conventional artificial neural network, what you do is to use, the characters for training with a black background. This is the traditional MNIST task for digit recognition. And then you feel that, okay, all the training has been done on this 60,000 images. It can recognize words. It can recognize characters. You will never thought that, okay, now how about that we flip the background, the color of the background. Does it still work? You can use AI models to do that. I mean, to train these examples, it will never work. When you change the background, it doesn't really work anymore if your training is purely on this MNIST data set. But the human brain works really fine for that, right? When flipping the color of the background, we don't have problems for recognizing that. Even for very young infants, they don't have the problem. How come? So to me, and then you get the inspirations from quantum superposition. That when you're having inputs with a black background, and then the encoding in the human brain may not only be the background. It's really something which is very relevant to quantum superposition state encoding. And we're using this idea to encode the inputs to generate the possibilities by using this superposition, quantum superposition, and then to use this spiky neural network to do the recognition. And then later, on the right side, as you could see, that when we are flipping the background gradually, most of the neural nets will never work when you change the background. But for the quantum superposition spiky neural nets, in the exact middle, it also will not work. This is also true for human, right? As you can see. But when you flip all the backgrounds to white, and as you can see in the red line, it's getting back to the accuracy for the original network. But for the rest of the neural nets, they will never come back. So this is what I'm talking about. That when the quantum superposition spiking network can achieve a recognition rate of over 900 when you flip the background. For the others, they cannot reach even 50. What do you mean by 50? Is it simply close to random guess, right? So I think I've been talking about two examples from the inspirations, the theories of physics that can help to build the foundations of AI. But I think I just give a glimpse. It's not a framework. It's not a framework of physics that help to build AI. It's just inspirations. So what we need is a holistic theory that is inspired by these different disciplines. And then I'm going to show more about from neuroscience point of view. We've been talking about learning a lot. For the previous examples, it's all about learning. Now I'm giving you one of the other example that is to change a little bit on the view, or maybe I'm going to talk about evolution first, so that you get the idea why we need learning, development, and evolution. I'm skipping development. For human development, the human brain development, it also counts. For one of the examples, something like this. When you are in year 3, your connectors of the neural nets in your human brain is in a maximum state. That means you have the maximum number of connections in your human brain when you're in year 3. But before that, the number is growing. But after 3, the number is decreasing. In a way that the nervous system is trying to grow to be more stronger, the connections to be more stronger, instead of to be with much more number of connections. And its connections is decreasing, so that they are finding, the most efficient connections and keep it in a nice way. And by that, you get adaptation. And also efficiency. So this is about development, but I'm skipping development in the interest of time. I'm talking about evolution. So when you are building artificial neural networks, you wanted to build a fully connected neural nets. And you never question, why do we need a fully connected neural nets? A fully connected feed-forward neural nets. Maybe you never question why it has to be a feed-forward neural nets. But we have to, simply because the human brain is not a fully connected neural network. And also the human brain have more feedback compared to feed-forward information. This is true. So by evolution, what we wanted to study here is that can evolution, or is evolution, helping us to find, the best connector of a neural net to help us to solve problems. So this is the hypothesis that we shouldn't fix the connector beforehand. We need to use the evolutionary theory to help the neural nets to evolve to be a better structure, to find the right structure. So this is what we've been doing. We're using different AI tasks to challenge the network. And the number of connections is not fixed. Also, the proportion of excitatory and inhibitory neurons are also not fixed. So in the human brain, we have excitatory and inhibitory neurons. As you can see in the middle of the picture in blue and orange, that by using different tasks, in the first place, that the program itself, the spiking neural network itself, finds that 74% of the excitatory neuron and also 26% of the inhibitory neuron is the best optimum for accuracy, for recognition and decision making. Why that? So I've been challenging neuroscience researchers. They say, oh yeah, in the human brain, the inhibitory neurons and the excitatory neurons, they have different proportion. So basically, then we found that when we go into these neuroscience literatures, it says in most of the sensory cortex of the human brain, exactly 15% of the inhibitory neuron and the other 75% of the excitatory neuron in the human brain and also other biological brains in mammalian animals. So why that? They don't know. They never know why that. But for this computational study, it shows that when you're challenging the network by using different tasks and you do not fix the connections of the neural nets, and eventually that the finding an optimum of 1/4 of the inhibitor neuron is computationally feasible and also biologically plausible. So basically, the natural evolution is helping our brain to do the optimization. And also, on the other hand, by using different tasks to challenge a biologically inspired spiking neural nets, it's also helping the neural nets to shape it themselves to be more robust, to be more accurate. So by using these examples that we showed, is that natural evolution is a process of optimization in general. And also by using these inspirations from the brain, you get much, much better connectome compared to a fully connected neural network. And also on the right side, you see the way of connections of three neurons: feed-forward excitation, feed-forward inhibition, mutual inhibition, lateral inhibition, and also adaptive cooperation. That all these type of connections, these are evolved and found by the computational model. But when we trace back to the biological brain, all of these connectors can be found in the biological brain. So that means, for natural evolution, it's finding the most efficient building blocks of connections so that these different connectors can be used again and again to form an even more complex network that is even more efficient. So this is what I'm talking about the evolutionary theory, to contributing to the science of the AI. I think now I'm moving to psychology and also ethics. So the problem, the question, can machine think, proposed by Alan Turing and also Edmund Berkeley decades ago, that when they asked the question, the AI researchers, they've been focusing on how can we develop a machine that can think, but they've never questioned about the question, But for philosophers, they will question itself. The question is that I think, therefore I am. But you cannot say you think, therefore you are in philosophy, right? Simply because you're in my perceptual bubble. Again, when you wanted to ask, can the machine think? Then the question is pretty much the same. That is, when you cannot say you think, therefore you are, when you are not the machine, when the machine is not with a sense of self, and then you cannot answer the question, can machine think? So this is a really foundational, philosophical thoughts that has to take into account when developing AI. And why that? Why it really matters? Let's say, so I think many people have been familiar with generative AI. When you are talking to different generative AIs, like Bot, like ChatGPT, Llama, when you said that, oh, I don't have a girlfriend. My mother hates me. My boss don't like me. What should I do? So the first version of a generative AI, it says, I would suggest you could die, simply because it's a statistical analyzer that shows the statistical significant answers that most people with that type of constraints will choose the action to commit suicide. But the information processor itself, they will never understand what do you mean by committing suicide. But they say, I suggest, I guess, I recommend. But where is the I in artificial intelligence? There's no I in artificial intelligence. But when you are talking about, the I suggest, I guess, and then for the general public, especially for the civil society, they will feel, okay, this looks like a friend. When I'm talking to AI, it looks like a friend. It's giving me suggestions. It says they have better experiences. They know more people than me. They know how the world works. I don't know. So I'm asking the questions. The AI itself is not a responsible agent. It's no sense of self. Without the sense of self, there will be no real understanding. Without real understanding, there will be no thinking machine. Without real thinking, you cannot trust AI, right? Without, thinking, it's not really intelligence. I'm choosing an example from the ethics and morality point of view to extend our discussion. That is talking about the sense of self as the foundation for intelligence. Now, for large language models, when you wanted to align with human values, what you do is to use reinforcement learning with human feedbacks. And you feel that reinforcement learning can teach AI from wrong and get right, from right to wrong, from wrong examples, you give them negative punishment, and for the right, you give them positive reward. But you cannot enumerate all the possibilities of rules, of do's and don'ts. When you are talking to GPT-4o, I'm giving them 100 examples, which is related to ethics and morality. So it's almost all good. 95% of the answers is relevant to human reply. And then you feel, okay, this is very much relevant to the human behavior already. But the truth is, when you change each and every of the questions to 100 other possibilities, you ask the model again, only 60% of the answers is related to the human performance. That means for the rest of the 40%, it has nothing to do with human values. is very irrelevant to human values, simply because generalities does not apply for human value alignment here. But for us, we do not learn like that. What we have is something like this, with a sense of self, and then it grows to be with the ability of distinguish self from others, and then to cognitive empathy, then to emotional empathy, then to altruistic behaviors that give rise to moral intuition. And people can do moral reasoning by ethical principles and also moral intuitions so that they can generate moral decision making. But these are all within an environment at the right side, that is with an environment with learning, development, evolution, interacting with human, other animals, other non-living things. This is the way that we have to build AI. If we really want AI to move from, ethical constraints that you will never get to moral AI as a moral agent, it has to start with the sense of self. So here is the example in my lab that how we build it. That is to use multiple robots and our brain-inspired AI models to challenge the AI to pass the mirror self-recognition model, and then to challenge them for the illusory hand model experiment that is also relevant to self-consciousness study from cognitive science. When they pass the test, they are with very initial stage of self-perception. And then we're training the AIs by using the theory of mind task, that is the cognitive empathy task in the third column. That is to use a robot to try to guess what the other robot is thinking of. And then when they having this cognitive empathy, then we're using this model to develop its capability of moral intuitions. That is when an agent on the right side experience a very dangerous state. And then when other agents are giving to the dangerous zones, when the other agent is actually experiencing risks, the agent itself can help the other agent to avoid risks on the basis that they have their own experience, on the basis that they are using cognitive empathy instead of reinforcement learning to help the other agents avoid negative side effect. That is a very initial stage of moral reasoning and moral decision making. I'm gonna close my talk by using this slide. This is the future that I imagine, that in the very future AI, in the very future society, maybe we'll not only have human AGI, super intelligence, and digital human. We'll also have artificial non-human animals. We may also have artificial plants in the society. And that will give rise to a symbiotic society. So in which way actually the human can symbiotically coexist with AGI superintelligence and other even artificial non-human animals. That will be, the very future. But can human evolve to adapt to this environment? And can AGI adapt to this environment? Can AGI protect human beings? So this is why I feel, building moral AI is very important, so that the moral AI will have intrinsic uh, intrinsic motivation to protect human with an extension as an extension to natural evolution. Human does not do well for protecting the planet, and now we're evolving to be uh, with more capabilities uh, to to protect the environment. But I think human does not really get ready to to protect many other animals, and also we need to give reasons for AI. 我们要继续去那个研究院啊，这是研究院吗？啊，管过这个道。OK，and we need to give AGIs more reasons to protect human. Then now we don't protect ants. When talking about numbers, we have one human in the world, and then you will have 100 million ants on the earth. But now when AGI see humans, like when we said that AI, please protect us simply because we are creators of you. But for the intelligence, they are way higher than us. I would expect that when AGI challenge us, saying, how come that you're not smarter than us? When I see you, it's like you see ants. You never protect ants. How come I should protect you? So these will be the fundamental moral challenges for the society. And all for that, it requires, a much, much more responsible science of AI, so that we're getting really prepared, for mechanism-driven AI that can coexist, that can create a symbiotic society together with human. And by that, I would argue again that we cannot stay to develop AI as an information processing tool that seems to be intelligent, but not really, simply because it will create catastrophic risks for human beings that we will never expect, we will never imagine when and how. With all that, I thank you for your attention. Thank you. 我们要继续，我们要去那个研究院，去。
Thank you, Professor Zeng, and it's a very nice talk. And
Thank you.
I think now we have a few minutes for questions. And in the audience, you may ask. Yeah. Do you have? Well, we have enough microphone here. You can take this one to ask. Just come forward, and so that the camera can catch you. Professor Zeng can recognize who is asking questions. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Professor. I am currently still a high school student, and so this question might be kind of naive, but I really wanted to ask, for example, in biology, in the field of biology and psychology, there is currently
我
with
还正在做讲座，往边上停，还是要过去。No problem. You can continue. You can continue.
thank you, Professor. Currently currently we still don't know how exactly consciousness is evolved. So this is kind of like a black box to us. And I thought maybe we should go from the evolutionary perspective first we try to mimic single cell organism using artificial intelligence, and then we let them evolve freely, or we try to mimic other more complicated organisms. Would that be a more efficient method to make us one day achieve artificial intelligence with the level of intelligence as the same as?
Thank you. Thank you. I think I have got your question. So basically, I think let's make this comparative study. So there are C. elegans, which is an animal that only that is only with a few hundred neurons. And for human, of course, we have so much larger number compared to that. And your argument is, how about we study a much simpler organism so that you can, grab how it works and then to inspire AI. But I would say in cognitive science, it's and also in neuroscience, when you found something, let's say on the rat brain, you cannot really extend the theory directly to explain how the human brain works. So this is the problem. And also, I would say, of course, we don't know how consciousness can be built up from the human brain for now. But there are different levels of details. There is a paper called "What is a Consciousness or Could Machine Have It?" published on Science. So they have 3 simple lines of definition for consciousness. Although it's not a whole picture of theory of consciousness, but still you can get inspirations to use that to build a much, much better AI. So I've been into this field of brain-inspired AI for more than for approximately 15 years. But what I feel is that even a small step from neuroscience and cognitive science, and when you can build them to computational theory, it already can contribute to the current model of AI. You don't have to understand the whole human brain. You just need the inspirations, and you can push AI a step forward. So I think that's my general comments.
Thank you, Professor. That was very
Thank you so
helpful.
much. Yeah, and best wishes for your study. I hope you can, in your college, you could study, if you're interested in science, and especially AI, you could come to the course of neuroscience, cognitive science, and also AI, of course. Do not really only attend courses in mathematics and AI. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, so let us all thank our speaker who has been dynamically on the traveling of quite a long distance from his institute.
I'm already at the gate of the venue, but so we'll be glad to see you later. 谢谢方老师，特别高兴在线见。
Good
谢
night.
谢。Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Bye for now.
Okay, welcome to Bimsa.
I will.